We are live. I'm Ronnie James Harris, and I'm joined by Jason William Laufenberg. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing good.
That's good.
Midweek, Wednesday,
It's Wednesday.
halfway through hump day, huh?
hmm That's a
Yeah, but it was a
positive.
nice day. It was a little hot, but
Yeah, it was still nice. Temperature's been great. The weather's been great. Not too humid. Back to regular Texas weather, finally. Go figure, we're obviously in the best time of the year if we're going off the Mazaroth or the heavens, in my opinion. But I might be a little biased as to this time of the year. But yeah, we've got interesting topics tonight. We did a poll, and debunking the AE map and model actually won that poll. Now we can do more polls. Maybe Friday we'll do another one. For next week, we'll see what other people want to talk about. But I wanted to start off tonight, Jason, just a little bit of a longer rant. I wanted to bring up, we were discussing tonight how we met, me and you. And so I can go into the story quickly. So I was actually on Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel, which was the anti-AE map and model COINTEL setup opposition, same team, right? So I went in there, and because they were the only people that were actually saying that the AE map was wrong, and I was one of those people. There was like four of us. And so I started doing presentations and teaching people about the heavenly luminaries. I went into like Pangea. I did like all this different stuff where I looked at what pre-flood Earth could have been and showed some of the evidence for it. But Jason, you had come along, and why don't you let people know? So you had seen me on there, is that correct?
yeah, from my recollection, just because it seems to be in the time period that I had already come to understand that the AE map and model was impossible. So I was watching all of the AE map and model content out there. And then the only dissenting voice that I came across was conspiracy. What was it called again?
Flat Earth Conspiracy.
Flat Earth Conspiracy. And so I think I do remember seeing you on there and being a anti AE map model guy. And I didn't have anything negative against you, but I watched some more of it, and it was Lori and Lawrence, and I got turned off. I got turned on to the free energy, that model, which is like a hyperlooping sun in a simulation setup, but still north and south doesn't work on it. So I was like, this is a dead end. It still doesn't work. And so I had sort of like written off the channel, and then you reached out, right?
Yeah, well, I had I had thought that you were. Excuse me, clear my throat here. I thought that you were like a anti AE map guy, and I thought you were like a square earther. That's what we were calling ourselves because we were going back to like rectangular square maps. So it turned out, I was wrong a little bit, but what I ended up finding was that you actually had been documenting clouds behind the sun, and I had already put up a video months and months before that, breaking that topic out on YouTube. So we had that connection as like truth seekers that we didn't even know about, but it was the pursuit of the AE map's destruction and the pursuit of. So I reached out to Jason looking for the map of this realm. That was my reason, and to interview him, and to just because I used to interview people all the time. I'd bring them on the podcast and just talk and get to know them. I've done quite a few. And then Jason and I were like, let's do this together, man. Let's work together. We both have the same. And then it ended up being that I already had the map that we have. Jason had to point to which one he thought would be the best. That's how the story went. And it wasn't that long after we met that we had the map. We showed everybody how it worked, how it could also work as a sphere. And if you were actually on a sphere, you would have to back engineer the map like this, because that's exactly what it would look like, right? As a flat plane. So, we actually met because we were debunking the AE map. That's how this story began, looking for the true map of our realm. And I guess it wasn't like, for me, it was about a quest. It was like a game. There was a prize to be had, and I wanted to put in the time, put in the effort, and fight to try to understand what our reality is. Because I knew that, like, your worldview, what you see, what you believe, what you feel in your heart, manifests around you. So if you think you live on a gyrating, spinning, flying, twirling, wobbling ball upside down in Australia, you know, you're not going to be as founded or strong, or you're not going to be able to speak with confidence because your paradigm is false. So for me, it was a game. It was a contest. It wasn't about ego. Nothing. Sometimes maybe people think maybe that I have an ego. I really don't. I'm a super humble guy. It was just about doing the work to find, like, how could this place really look? Because I know we were lied to. And so that's how Jason and I met. So we actually have been debunking the AE Mappa model for like over 5 years now, about. And, you know, the equinox debunks the AE Mappa model. The fact that there's a southern star trail with a cross that spins clockwise, whereas in the north, Polaris, everything spins counterclockwise. The problem with that is once you go below the equator or to the bottom half of the map, the stars actually spin clockwise. Not the same way that it would work if the sun and moon and stars and everything was circling above us like this. No, they're going like this. Right, so we started looking into that. The equinox, how the sun rises due east and sets due west, everywhere on the map. Actually, that one debunks everything. The ball, reality, and the AE Mappa model gets taken down on that. Underlit clouds is one that you want to talk about tonight, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. So we're always looking for the types of debunks that are just so undeniable, so in your face. So for the name Jesus or Jehovah or something like that, just the statement, the letter J was created 500 years ago, right? That's all you need. And then a person that has common sense at that point gets to that short circuit moment where they realize that, okay, well, it can't be Jesus or Jehovah, right? If the letter J was created 500 years ago. So that's one of those great, like, rock solid truths that makes a person think. When it comes to the true Hebrew calendar, like how his daughter had shared that she had recognized that her birthday was not on the same day of the week from year to year. And it becomes obvious the reason why when you see that the year is 365 days long, that's not divisible by 7. So obviously the day of the week is going to change from year to year, which means that to keep Easter, right, pagan holiday, on a Sunday and call the death of Yahawahashai, say that was on a Friday, like, this is an absurdity. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Every year my birthday's on a different day, right? So like, how could Easter not be?
So I think the big smash of the AE Mappa model, which is something that a person can double check every sunrise and sunset, is just go outside and watch and see, are the clouds ever underlit? Because if they are, it means that the sun is not traveling 3,000 miles up, right? Because
Clouds aren't 3,000 miles up.
So I think it's just one of those big dirt moments. And obviously the sun is not traveling in circles 3,000 miles up if you just watch a sunrise and sunset. So we'll dig out some old proofs. This, like you mentioned, this is our grassroots, our stomping ground. This is how we met each other. So we've been busy with work. We had the poll, which was nice, that sort of directed us towards, all right, people want to hear about AE Mappa model debunks, and this is easy. Like, this is what we've been doing for so many years. This is the easiest of the easy.
We both have like 4 or 5 dissertations on this topic. You can, like, we have hundreds of videos doing this. It's like we don't even have to think. Like a quick, I can throw a quick AE map model debunk would be, I guess, the path of the moon, right? It rises and sets the same as the sun. It doesn't like circle around. And if we were on an AE Mappa model with the moon, everybody would see different sides of the moon face. They wouldn't all see the exact same face, whether it be just inverted. Some people in Australia, it just looks, it's flipped, because once you get past the equator, you're then looking back at the moon like this as it does its path. But the fact that we only see one phase of the moon, actually that debunks heliocentrism, AE map model, and almost reality as well.
Yeah, a circling moon would mean that the only part of it that you wouldn't see would be the top, right?
That's right.
You
We've
would
never seen the
see,
back of the moon. We've never seen, like, someone hasn't seen a half moon while someone on the Earth around the circle of the AE map would be looking back. They would see a quarter moon. And then it would, like, as it came around them, the moon would then become fuller and fuller. This is not what we see.
yeah. So, I mean, we've got video content that we can do some throwbacks to. We can do some on the fly research together. And yeah, what else? What else? Should we get into AE map and model debunks? Is there anything else on your mind?
No, we can. Yeah, let's do this. We don't have to have a super long show hangout either. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Do you want to screen share first? Should
No,
I?
yeah, you can. Yeah, what do you mean? You got this. What do you want me to screen share? I got lots of links. So let me just get you set up first. Okay, you're presented.
Cool. All right, so I started by saying clouds underlit by sun is, in my opinion, like the most in-your-face, quickest debunk of a Freemason New World Order AE map and model promoter. So there's a lot of people that have come to realize that Earth is fixed and immovable, but they've been led into the Truman Show flying pancake model, and well, it's a psyop, right? It's a false economy, and it was actually set up to discredit the Bible. But we busted that plan. So I found this interesting. If you do a YouTube search for clouds underlit by sun, now a lot of people know and understand that we are the clouds behind the sun people. Ronnie brought it up. We had each found clouds behind the sun independent of each other before meeting each other. It turns out that Ronnie has the earlier timestamp for it. But yeah, it's a key fundamental truth, and it's going to be coming up in this search right here, even though that the search is for clouds underlit by sun. Now, I was absolutely shocked to see how unastroturfed these results were, because the very first one is 9 views from 2 years ago from a tiny little channel. And now, so this looks like a pretty unbiased observer, right? Just showing clouds underlit from sun. And you can clearly see that the bottoms of these clouds are lit up, right? The sun is not over these clouds, it's under these clouds. And so I was just going to YouTube to see what the evidences were. Look at when you see this and you see, is the sun above or is it below? Well, it's definitely below. And we'll look at some more footage where you can see and know that the sun is actually below these clouds. So it's not 3,000 miles up. That's the first search result. Now, the second one, Ronnie, you probably recognize. This footage was originally released by Shazwar, who I don't think is around anymore. So now the second search result goes to a channel with 3,000 subscribers. But this is something we've shown multiple times. We'll drop the audio a bunch. And so the guy is going to turn and look out the window. He's showing his altitude and instruments and stuff like that. He's all excited. And sure enough, the sun is not above the clouds. It's below them. Now, this is a, what was it, like a Cessna type plane? This wasn't some like crazy high altitude aircraft. It's not a Cessna. Well, it could be a Cessna, but so he's flying just above the clouds. Sun's not above it. But you're going to get to see that it's coming up through the clouds. Well, actually, this footage doesn't show it coming up through the clouds. We have to go to another fake flat earther. But so you can see that the sun is below the clouds here, right? This plane's not 3,000 miles up. All right. Now, the next clip here is somebody that we know that I've specifically called out multiple times on my channel, this Wide Awake. And so here's the explanation from a fake flat earther. Let's see if you're gonna go with this. He says underlit clouds are caused by reflective sunlight. So here's the answer.
Hey man, you ever look into flat earth?
So his intro here is ridiculously long. It was like a minute long, almost a minute long intro.
It's cool if you do cool things in your minute intro, like if you have video clips and spice things up and make it interesting, right?
All right, so this is Wide Awake, and he says underlit clouds are caused by reflective sunlight. Let's get some audio back here.
Gotta show you this because these clouds right here are in front of the sun, and as I back up, you'll see the sun's behind it.
All right, so the sun's behind it. You can see that the sun is in front of this cloud. All right, you see the way that ridge is lit up there. So the sun is literally back here. This cloud's blocking it, but you have uplit clouds as well. Right, uplit means there's clouds above the sun here.
And then if I move off here to this side, these clouds are all lit up underneath. So what I'm saying is these clouds, or this light is hitting way out there in the Gulf of Mexico.
It's great.
And reflecting back up to
reflecting
the bottom of the clouds.
Reflected back
Does he get the fish tank out? Again, another one of the things that I put out as a cool video that the AE map shills just ate, gobbled up like manna. I was like, no! I felt so stupid because I was making it seem like now all of a sudden they can bend light around because they added some sugar into the water and changed the density and the laser bent. So now what they say is that this is how it's happening, because I tried to make it work. Okay, Jason, I tried to make a sun 3,000 miles up work. I was trying to do like whatever I could to make it work, and I just kept finding out that it was a failure, and everything that I tried that failed, the AE mappa model shill stole, and they promote it like it's truth. And it just makes me laugh every time. I'm like, can't these guys see the error in the way? Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah, so I brought up a SketchUp tonight, and I want to show people a few things here at this point. So this is the Freemason New World Order AE map and model. This is the Gleason map, but you could replace it with any AE map. That would be azimuthal equidistant. You could replace it with any AE map and it wouldn't make a difference because it only has one polar point. And so the point I want to make here is, because we're USA centric, most of our audience, this right here, the 90-degree line, this is roughly hitting New Orleans. So this is something that most USA people are going to be familiar with. New Orleans, central time zone. And so let's pick a day that's summertime-ish, where the sun's going to be setting around 8 p.m. We're going to use some rough numbers for this. You can dial in and get the exact details if you want to, but this will be some rough stuff. So if the sun is setting at 8 p.m., solar noon is generally between 12 and 1. All right, so the time difference if the sun is setting here in New Orleans, right, that means its solar noon is going to be roughly 8 hours ahead. Or let's say the sunset was at 8:30 and solar noon was at 12:30. It's still an 8-hour difference, right? So the way the AE map model is set up is it's a longitude and time calculator. It's the only thing that it's good for. Now, it's not exceptionally good at it. In fact, it's very archaic and rough and not super good at it. But you can use it sort of as a clock, because each one of these lines here is 15 degrees. And so,
Well, let me just tell people what this is. So
okay.
they took a globe and they squished it and they dragged Antarctica and stuck it on the outside. And then what they tell you is it's equidistant, right? So the distance from one side of the triangle piece on the smallest triangle is the same distance as the largest one. That's how this map works, just so people understand. It's absolutely useless for navigation.
Well, and equidistant is nonsense as well. Because equidistant, they're saying that, look at Australia over here, right? Look at the size of this, the width of this. Compare that to Canada, to the United States, to it's crazy, right? So equidistant doesn't actually work. You, in a map, you actually have to map out in scale everything, because now all of a sudden everything north of the equator has been shrunken the closer it gets to the North Pole, and everything outside of the equator has been expanded the farther it gets away from the North Pole. So let's just go back to that thought again about sun setting, right? So we're talking about at sunset or sunrise that the clouds are underlit. And Wide Awake is saying that it's a reflection. So that reflection, if the sun sets at this 8 to 8:30, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means solar noon, right? The sun is almost by Japan. The sun is almost by Japan over here. This would be during the summer solstice. And that from Japan, we're getting light from a sun that's 3,000 miles up doing a bank shot. All right, under the clouds. From Japan.
It's doing some old English style, right?
Yeah, neglect the fact that there's topography in the way, and the clouds, right, are limited in the height that they travel. 1,500 to 10,000 is their general range that they run in. So then there's issues that arise. We're talking about like a summertime sundown, right, where that's like between 8 and 8:30. Now during the winter, that sundown's going to be 5, maybe earlier, right? So then your time difference between a solar noon and your sunset is just 5 hours, but the sun has to travel farther, right? So we were looking at the summer path, which is the tighter one on the AE map model. Now, if we're looking at a winter path and we're looking at like a 5 o'clock sunset, then it means solar noon is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not even out here to New Zealand yet. And it's got to go all the way around here. Right? So many fake flat earthers say that the sun slows down as it gets closer to the center, and then it speeds up as it's going around the outside here. But a solar noon to a sunset here was actually a shorter distance, because we're going by time zones, 15 degrees per hour. And so none of this works. None of this works. Now, the reason why this was initially created was to show how equinoxes don't work. So as we drill down here, you can see that if the sun is doing circles, there's not a place on Earth that the sun would ever rise east and west or south of east and west. Right? We can drill in here and see anywhere that it would always be rising north of east and north of west, anywhere, because it's a circle, right? It becomes obvious when you model this out. Sun would always be north of east, always north of west. That would never, ever change anywhere on the map. But the truth is that on the equinoxes, the sun rises 90 degrees east and sets 270 degrees west everywhere on Earth. So those are straight lines. So a straight line is like this, right? There's a straight line for you. Doesn't work on a circle, does it? But it gets worse. It gets way worse. Because from the fall equinox to the spring equinox, anywhere south of the equator, the sun starts rising south of east and rising south, setting south of west. So what I'm talking about is here's east. If we click a dot, we'll do it on landmass. We click a dot here, means it's rising from south of east and setting south of west. Now, the farther south you go, the more extreme this begins. And the peak point of this is at the winter solstice. So at the winter solstice, what is this? Ushuaia, something like that.
Yeah, Ushuaia.
Ushuaia, Argentina. This is like one of the most farthest south places that are inhabited. Farther south than South Africa or something in Australia. And but this is inhabited, and you can check it out that at the winter solstice the sun rises from 135 degrees, which is
South.
really south of east, and sets at 225 degrees, which is really south of west, which means that the sun is coming from this direction on sunrise and setting out this direction at sunset. And that's an absurdity, right?
I could show that really quick if I take a screen share real quick.
Yeah.
Just to add on to your point. Oh, you took it fast. Let's see here. So on the map here, do I have to click on it? So what we're measuring here is the degrees and the angles. So the sun would actually be circling right off the map here on this part. This is in South America. And then you have South Africa. This is just such a bad representation. Australia is so skewed. And then what they try to tell you is, oh, it's because it's equidistant. So they have to skew it because this point and this point are the same as this point and this point. So, but yeah, this is how we understand that the path didn't work. This is how I understood. Because each person all around the outside of this map would have the sun circling right off into outer space, right? Well, they're trying to tell you that the sun's going this way. Really, it rises. You see it rise over here, comes up. The person right here, they see the sun going down and it sets, and the sun is going this way. The sun would have to be going this way. And we tried to explain it to everybody in the FE movement, and everybody just got rude.
The first person I talked to was David Weiss, Dirty David. And that's the reason why David's going to remain the poster boy for the fake flat earth until they're all gone.
And then you have Eric Dubé, who was the one who was promoting Robotham. The Freemason nonsense actually comes from Sir Robotham or whatever. And he actually denied anything that was in the South. He literally said that it didn't exist. He thought that it would be like treacherous and cold and inhabitable, like Australia even. He was saying that you couldn't even live there. He just denies the Southern Star Trails, Robotham. And that's the same way that Eric took on the debate.
There was a movement during the early fake flat Earth that Australia didn't exist. Do you remember hearing that?
Yeah.
Just going to straight up deny it, right?
It's not working right. That's not going to work. So when I show people this, can I make this bigger? Okay, I can. Let's see. Okay, so if we were on the AE map, stop it. The stars in the sky would circle above us like this, right? This would be like the sun coming in here. This light right here. We would see it come around. It would come by us, and it would continue circling. That's not the way we see the sky at all, ever, never. No one can see this. There's only one pole here in the sky. We have two, right? We have two poles. So where was the diagram where he actually pulls it to the correct? Did I go past it? No, it's coming up. He actually shifts it to the correct. So if you watch again, here comes the sun. It would be circling up. It would never set, right? In the 3,000 mile up AE map and model concept.
And you would never have underlit clouds. They would always be overlit.
So here, when I rewind this, so he's going to orientate the sky in the actual way that everyone on Earth can perceive it and photograph it. You cannot perceive or photograph a spinning dome like this. This is not what we see. So now he's going to shift, and you're going to notice the sky is going to fold up and go parallel to the ground on a 90 here. That's the way the AE map would work. Like this is how we would need the AE map model to work, like that. But that's not what we see, right? We see them perpendicular to the ground. I'll show it one more time. Slow it down so I can explain it. People can see it. Again, so if the stars were spinning around us like this, that's not the way we see it. That's how the horizon works. The horizon, we look at it, it's a wall. It's a wall above us. And what this is star trail time-lapse footage. Every 40 seconds, a long exposure shot. It goes click, and the camera stays open for a while. It's click, 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 click. And then 40 seconds later, it takes another one, and then the software stitches the pictures together, and you get these trails, right? But the problem is it's perpendicular to the ground. It's not above my head circling like a dome. That's not how we see it. He's going to pull it. This is the way we see it. This is the way flat earthers think you see it. The AE map and model guys like David Weiss. This has never, ever been documented. And not only that, but on the outside of the ring, the stars are actually going the other direction, which completely just destroys this concept. And then again, here we go. We would see this is how sunrise would be, right? We'd see the sun circle in like that in the sky. Here it comes, the giver of light. It would come up. Our midpoint would be up here in the sky. We'd be able to measure all this if we lived on a circling sun AE map and model. We'd be able to, boom, midday. There's the sun above us in midday. It would go about its circling. And another thing, the sun would always be circling in the same direction. What we actually have is in the northern half of the map in the summertime, the sun circles to the north. In the south, second half of the year, the sun actually circles the opposite direction. Again, completely destroying the idea that the sun would be constantly making right-handed turns. It does a right-handed turn for 6 months, and then it goes left-handed for the other 6 months. These are things that we don't see in reality. Jason and I were set out to actually explain reality, not to come up with some kind of fantasy that doesn't make any sense. Now, here's the problem we brought up earlier with the moon. So if we were on a circling up in the sky, AE map and model 3,000 mile up, everybody would see different sides of the moon as it circled around the earth. And we'd see the backside, all the sides like Jason had said, except for the top, right? If it was up here on this track, circling around us like the flat earth, the AE map and model people like David Weiss want to promote to you guys is absolute falsity, lies, preposterous. It doesn't have any reality to it. It's just one of the most nonsensical things I've ever heard. Now here's the diagram where we're going to see that's the sun. And here comes the moon. So these are people in 3 different continents, right? We've got Africa, America, and yeah, I guess this is supposed to be South America. It looks just warped as heck.
Yeah, so in that situation, you would see the front side coming towards you, and you would see the back side going away from you. You would see all sides except for the top.
Yeah, that's right. And as it comes in, the modeling shows exactly how we would perceive it. The pictures. He's going to take the snapshot soon. You see the different sides of it? You see this? How the face is changing as it's spinning around? Just pay close attention to now it's half moon. Now these people would be seeing like a quarter moon, back of the moon, right? These people would be now seeing a full moon.
Well, you couldn't have a full moon all night. It would be impossible. As soon as the moon passed you, all of a sudden it would become a no moon.
Here, he's got the diagram now modeled out so you can see it in three different dimensions. So these people here are seeing the half moon. These people are seeing the full moon. This person's seeing a full moon as well. And it changes. Now this guy's seeing the back of the back of the moon. What happened? Yeah, it's just, I just don't understand when we brought this to the table and showed everybody, you know, how they just continued to just keep shilling. They did it for years and years and years and years. And that's just one. There's so many things, like the moon size. If it was 3,000 miles up and it was a physical object, the further away it was and the closer that it got, it would be way huger. It would be tiny on the horizon. And then it was above you, it would be huge, right? That's the problem that we have when we try to make things that are in the heavens physical, right? We run into these problems when we try to measure something 3,000 miles and up and circling around. None of this really works. It doesn't. None of it. It was a big fantasy, a fantasy that was created in the minds of people trying to lead people down disinformation trails. The secret societies are formed so that they can keep truth from you. And then they send out shills who go around spreading misinformation so that it can be then debunked, supporting the foundation of what they wanted to mind control people into. This is the game. This is how they play it. Jason and I don't play.
Yeah, so we have Cam B in the chat that says, so you think we live on a spinning ball? No, we literally are the guys that debunk the top heliocentric shills in the world. And we also debunked the Freemason New World Order AE map and model. So we are on a flat, motionless plane that is not circular, right? And the scriptures are correct. It's got 4 corners. It's a stereographic map. And it's pretty neat. Once we put our heart to finding it, it took us like a month, and we had it. And it's the most accurate stereographic map of Earth. And you could navigate by it. You absolutely could navigate by it. So it's flat and it's not circular. It doesn't have a single polar point. As soon as we understood that the evidence coming from south of the equator that yes, there are star rotations around a single polar point in the south, we knew that Earth had 2 polar points, and thus the map had to be stereographic.
Well, and not only that, but we understood from the scriptures that the heavens were more of a circular shape around us. So the yin yang that the Chinese or Asian people kept was a depiction of the sun and the moon rising and setting in a circular path above us, rising from the ground, going up and then setting perpendicular to the plane of the Earth, not parallel above it circling. I'm talking perpendicular. And this is what they were right about. That people know, you're able to just observe it. It's just the FE movement was able to capitalize on things that were true about things that are in our reality, how everything like water, there's so many good proofs. Earth has never been proved to move. They capitalized on that, but they then implanted absolute nonsense into your brain to just mush you. I think you're muted, but we'll keep this. Maybe you have a few more. That's all I'm going to share for tonight. I think we need to not prove, but show some more evidence next time we bring this topic up. I'll prepare some links to show the Southern Star Trails, and I'll explain to everybody how that works. We'll go into the sky a little bit on the next AE map and model debunk. I don't want to go too long tonight, Jason, but yeah, keep going with whatever it is that you wanted to present.
I got a little bit more. So yeah, we were in Wide Awake. He was saying that the reason the clouds are lit up is they're underlit. Then we went to SketchUp and showed how if it's like an 8 o'clock sunset in Florida, the sun's going to be traveling around almost to Japan. right? 8 hour, eight time zone difference. And so no, none of this works. Now it's amazing
These
that
clouds. So how
this is under clouds underlit by a sun. It's the third video, right? So usually that top three is the most astroturfed results. And Wide Awake, 224 views 2 years ago, right? They feel like this is important. Now this one, we use this footage all the time. I think this was Nawi Ja. My video titles it "The Best Clouds Behind the Sun." So we have clouds around the sun or sun in the clouds. Now all of a sudden people are starting to realize just how close it is, right? Now here's some other footage, underlit, 4K. This is just some random footage, but what is it that you can see right in this thumbnail is that the shadows are being cast up, right? So much for your reflection business. That sun is not over by Japan, 8 hours, 8 time zones away, doing a bang shot, creating these reflections. But this is also time lapse footage. Now we have somebody else with clouds behind the sun. Somebody else just putting out. Is this? Look at where the sun is. Look at all this. Is this gonna go down? Yeah, it is sinking. So it's gonna go. Well, they show up below the clouds. We're sort of focusing on below the clouds. Definitely clouds behind the sun, but let's focus on sun below the clouds. Underlit. Right, time lapse again, but you can clearly see. You can clearly see it doesn't need a body of water here. All right, the sun's not over by Japan, 8 time zones away, and doing a bank shot off the ground here to underlight these clouds. Okay, it's just because the sun is below the clouds that it's getting this shot. Beautiful. Let's see here. Looks like we're starting to get out of the search results, but you get down to here and whoa! Flat Earth sunrise compilation in St. Martin with clouds and birds behind the sun. This is my first video on YouTube. So comes up relatively high in the search results, although it did say that it was probably catered results for me, right? So I don't know if you would get the same result, but I know my own footage, and I do know that the sun came up. I was in St. Martin, so the sun is coming up at the water. I'm looking east here. Comes up out of the water. Here's another shot. You can see that there's clouds right around it. Here. Is that sun above or below the clouds? I'll take the audio off of this. You tell me if you believe that sun is 3,000 miles high. Because that's what the AE map model says. Sun never sets in that model. Never goes down to the ground, ever. It's always 3,000 miles up. All right, and then there's a phenomena that happens as the sun is rising above a body of water. You get this incredible, I don't know what to call it, but flare at the bottom here. You can see that there's a distinct flare, and then as this comes up, you're going to see how the flare comes together, and then there's like an energy type thing. It's pretty amazing, but this is all happening below the clouds. Right? And remember, if this was a circling sun and it's out 8 time zones away over by Japan, that it would be a tiny little dot. And it wouldn't be until it was directly overhead that it was large. So literally every part of the physics of the AE map model is ridiculous. Now you can see how it's locally illuminating clouds right here, and the bottom of the clouds was illuminated. The sun is below the clouds, but it's rising up into the clouds right here. Now you see that hot spots around here? Sun's going up. Just keeps going up. Just clear clouds behind the sun all throughout this footage. Just time after time after time until it finally gets above the clouds. All right. Here's another, this is just another sunrise, a different day. These are clouds at the waterline. You can see the waterline right here. These are clouds on the waterline, sun coming up right there. Now this right here is one of David Weiss's boys. This is another one of the AE Mappa model pushers. But even people from the Freemason New World Order AE Mappa model know and understand that the sun is not circling 3,000 miles up, because we've shared this before. We'll share it again here.
That the sun is not 93 million miles away. So check it out.
So he's up in an airplane and he's recording the sun come up through the clouds. We're going to be able to watch this ascend up through the clouds. Right? The airplane is over the clouds and the airplane is not 3,000 miles up.
So here's the video I took. As you can see, the sun is about to start.
The horizon's back here. All right, so the sun is coming up before the horizon through the clouds. This is why Ronnie and I continually show everybody how the sun circles around an observer based on their altitude. But see, at this altitude, it's not even all the way out at the horizon here. It's coming up before the horizon through the clouds.
Start rising, and it's not even past the horizon. You can see the horizon in the background, and the sun is going to start rising through that thick layer of clouds right there. Now, if the sun is 93 million miles away, it would be rising at the horizon, not in the middle of the clouds right there.
Yeah, but how can you ignore that your model demands that the sun is 3,000 miles up? And when I say it demands that, I mean, from the very first time I tried modeling the AE Mappa model, I wanted to see for myself, like, because they say from 45 degrees north. So 45 degrees north, you can see that there's this ring. It's not a good ring, but this is going to be 45 degrees north. So it runs through like Wisconsin. I know roughly where that is. And then 45 degrees south is going to be, so this is 0, 15, 30, 45. All right, so here's going to be your 45 degrees south. So what you would do to actually calculate the height of the sun in this model is you'd set a 45 degree line right here going up, and you would set a 45 degree line right here going up, and then you would measure the height over the equator. Now, I've done that before, and yes, it's 3,000 and a little bit of change. All right, if you do this as accurately as you can, like I just showed you, the triangulation in a physical world of the sun being 45 degrees high because you're at 45 degrees latitude, and the sun being 45 degrees because you're at 45 latitude south, that triangulation is going to give you your 3,000 miles high. So their model demands that. Ours is based off of the height of the observer. All right, so this is the Kabbalistic, atomistic flat Earth, and we share the simulation / realm flat Earth. But let me see what else we have here. No, you didn't want to go too long, Ronnie. Maybe just a couple things from DITRH's channel, because we're bashing on DITRH. There's not too many fake flat earthers left. Most of them have given up. But DITRH is still going, and I get the occasional troll that's trying to defend DITRH. But here's from his own channel, people. This was 8 months ago. Here's a video, our local sun over a flat Earth. Let's see what DITRH is sharing here. So those clouds apparently are 3,000 miles up that he's filming right now. So he's got clouds behind the sun, and it's right here in this little poof ball of a cloud right in front of his face. Clouds above, clouds below, clouds behind. A little bit of clouds in front right here. Jump ahead. So what is happening right now? The sun is descending through this cloud layer, coming down. So we have clouds above the sun in the Freemason New World Order AE map model, where the sun's always 3,000 miles up. We have clouds above the sun in it. See, it's coming down. And he's documenting it. Or is it going up? I don't know. It's hard to tell which way the clouds are going here. But clearly you can see that there are clouds above the sun. Now let's go check out another video of his. And so that was our local sun, which is what we've been talking about from the beginning. But just before that, he said, not sunset on flat Earth. The sun fade out. That's 24,000 views. He showed you clouds above the sun, but now we're going to get a sun fade out. Sun does not go down. You could see the transition there real clearly. Sun never sets on a flat Earth. All it does is shrink. It's always 3,000 miles up. See? Vanished. Just vanished like that.
Shrunk into a tiny speck of dot on the horizon, right? Without actually setting. That absolutely nobody in reality has ever seen with their own two eyes. Right? All you got to do is literally go to the beach, looking west at a sunset, and you will see that the disk of the sun stays exactly the same size as it sets. Now, what they can do is set up time-lapse photography where you just set the camera there, and as the sun changes its intensity, it then stops overexposing the camera, and then you see the actual size of the sun, and it still sets too. But what DIRTH has done, Dirty David Weiss, he CGI'd his own footage, right? And then he fakes like he's live streaming it, and he runs the video while he's faking it. We called him out on all of his nonsense. We were right there every step of the way.
All right, so I've got this video. It's pretty good. So it definitely shows clouds underlit throughout the whole thing. It shows clouds behind the sun, but it shows something else as well. It shows a airplane flying through the sun, which well, now is he going to say that the airplane's 3,000 miles up? That's ridiculous. So just watch this footage. You can see that the plane actually interacts with the sun. Now I have a comparison to his disappearing sun as to the sun that we actually see here. So it happened right at the top of the screen. I'll show it to you one more time in regular time. So you can see where it's coming through right now. You'll see that because I was wobbling around, it's going to be high on this side. So is there any way that you can say that the plane did not interact with the sun there? I'm just curious if anybody is going to go out on a limb and say that, nope, no interaction whatsoever. The light from the sun is not somehow reaching out to the airplane, and you're not seeing any sort of energy transfer here whatsoever. And watch what it is that we actually see. So it's right here, the nose of the plane is coming out. The rest of the plane is still in the circle of the sun right here, and it's going to come out through it. Let me slow it down just a hair. You can see the way that it like snaps back in. Now we've seen this multiple times, not just with our own footage, but with other people's footage. And so yeah, the sun's low enough that the plane can actually because the sun is being rendered to you based on your height, right? That the distance to this airplane was just right, that it actually interacted with the sun. Now there's other things that you can do to test all this. I lived close to the airport before, and a lot of my footage I got was out near the airport. So I would record the airplanes going around, and I was doing the chemtrails are demonic and all that kind of stuff. And you can clearly see come sunrise or sunset when the sun is below the airplane or above the airplane, because you'll see it underlit. You'll see the bottom of the plane, the wings, all the fuselage, all that shining if the plane is above the sun and the sun is below it. If it's the other way around, you won't see that shine until the plane does a bank, and then all of a sudden you get the reflection off the wings or something like that. And the belly is not illuminated because now the sun is above the airplane. But
Excellent points.
yeah, that's we could bash on David all like
Yeah, we're not done.
Hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, this is just the start. We're just opening the door a little bit tonight. So make sure you stay tuned.
Turn it back over to you, brother.
Okay. Make sure y'all stay tuned. You know, we're never going to quit, right? Never. We will never give up fighting for the truth. We are those guys. We have the track record. It doesn't matter what anyone says. We're still going to fight for truth. Y'all know only Yahawahashai News Network. Jason, you got the last word.
The plan is to be live this coming Friday, and we appreciate you all and hope you're having a good week. So see you soon. Good night.
Good night.